He's an amazing visage, and I can't remember what the stat line was from D2CL Season 4, but Way2's visage, and he played the hero more than he played any other hero throughout all of the season. Visage was his #1 most played hero, and his like average GPM compared to every other support was just insane. So getting him in that comfort zone. But coming back around to what you said, I mean, when you see a Storm Spirit, you see a Lifestealer. Generally, you don't draft those heroes so you can just sit and farm all game. I mean, obviously, you want your core items up. But what it looks to me like Liquid is really afraid of is just being pressured and having global mobility to deal with. Whenever you have a Keeper of the Light that can recall a hero across the map to wherever he wants to go, and when that happens to be a Storm Spirit with a Lifestealer infested inside, it can create a lot of problems in terms of controlling the flow and the pace of the game. And we saw just how well Navi can execute, and we've seen it for years. I mean, it's not exactly a surprise that, oh yeah, Navi's going to run a gank-centric lineup. But, you know, that's just what they do. So just taking those options away, taking away the Enchantress as well. Navi themselves banned out the Chen. But I'm much more interested in the way that Liquid's going to build this out. I mean, like you said, Ursa does have his own set of issues. Now with the Visage up as a support, that's a hero that outside of his familiars with their stuns, yes, they work, but it's not a dedicated lockdown. Same with Nature's Prophet. He has Sprout. Ursa tends to function best whenever he has heroes that can lock heroes down, and more importantly, they're just flat out going to need disables to deal with the Storm Spirit. Otherwise, Dindy's just going to go absolutely bonkers, bouncing in and out of these fights. So the last two pickups here for Liquid are really going to set the tone. I love that Navi banned the Io, though. Io plus Ursa is something that I've been kind of on board with for a long time. I can't remember who I saw run it first, but Io plus Ursa is actually pretty damn disgusting, and in a lot of ways can be better than even an Io Tiny if it's run correctly. And Navi, knowing that Ursa does need help in terms of being able to lock heroes down, taking away that pick, absolutely great drafting so far. They're going to get KKY, his Rubik as well, so they continue to stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah, so far, you know, going back to it, I just want to make the comment. You know that Way2 is like an exceptional Visage player when he takes over Fluff. That used to be Fluff's role back in the day. That was, and he had an exceptional Visage. You know, Way2's Visage has got to be out of this world when Team Liquid as a whole go, yeah, Way2, you should play the Visage over Fluff and stuff playing the Visage, and it just fits him so well. He played that last game really, really well. I'm not sure if maybe they gave up some control, but he always had the micro for the Visage familiars, not only just the normal combative, being able to drop them at the right times, to be able to focus on the right heroes with the damage, but also the fact that being able to move around. Visage was a lot more important in the match because he was so key for moving around the map and being able to gank up those heroes with that teleport strategy. So he that's just an added burden that he had on his shoulders if he was doing all of that controlling. That was really, really impressive. So big shout out to him. We're going to see, no surprise, Liquid. They're going to fit an Elder Titan into their draft.
Yeah, the Elder Titan pickup makes sense. I mean, when you look at Navi's lineup, you know they're going to want to fight early, and Navi's going to respond with an Enigma. That's fine. But the issue I have with the Liquid's lineup is how are they going to deal with the Storm Spirit? How? I mean, eventually Scythe of Vices will come out, and that's all well and good. I've even seen, and I want to say it goes back to CIS Carnage, maybe even further than that. Some of the smaller tournaments I've casted before, where I've seen some weird item builds on Elder Titan if he can get sufficiently far ahead, and very often Bulba does get that Elder Titan very far ahead. He's just excellent on the hero, and you can see things like Orchid Malevolence is actually not that strange of a pickup on an Elder Titan that could help to deal with the storm as well. But again, where are the stuns? You've got Sprout, you've got slows aplenty. That's not a problem. You do have Stomp from Elder Titan, but that's not an ability you're just going to be able to reliably use to deal with a Storm Spirit who's bouncing in and out of fights. And with the initiation that they have, I mean, you've got Storm Spirit with Vortex, you've got Rubik with Telekinesis, you've got Enigma with Malefice plus Black Hole. Navi, I just feel like, has a huge advantage in terms of just being able to take fights and being able to outmaneuver Team Liquid. And, you know, at this point, waiting to see what they're going to pick up last, it's hard to call. I just hope it's something that will help them deal with the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, they don't have any lockdown until they get their Scythe of Vice up, which is going to be seen on 2, possibly 3 different heroes. Nature's Prophet, obviously, the big Scythe of Vice hero. Ursa actually goes as Scythe of Vice when we start getting past our basic, you know, Blink Dagger, BKB, you know, those sort of items, Vlad's, etc. Scythe of Ice is actually one of the big
Navi's
luxury. I think the real first luxury item that an Ursa goes for, because the disable is really, really strong for him. He needs to be able to have some additional lockdown that he can use on his own when he blinks in, and he can disable up that hero and just burst them down very, very quick. Against the Storm Spirit, and that's perfect. I like up support that also adds in some additional burst against a hero like Storm Spirit. But Darkseer, oh my goodness, we're gonna have the greatest 5-on-1 wombo combo team fight from Navi.
Rounding things out with yes, Darkseer has fallen off so immensely. I mean, it seems like literally for years, going back to pre-TI2 days, back when I first started casting Dota, Darkseer just always hung around as one of those heroes that had a very high pick ban percentage. He went through periods where he was first pick, first ban status. Sometimes he'd fall off, make it down to second pick, second ban phase, second pick phase, etc. But you just saw the hero very, very common, and that just hasn't been the case since the 3 really. You just haven't seen the hero remain that popular.
Yep, we're going to see as you get back into the game, we're actually having a potential team fight as both teams are 5-manning towards each other. And if it doesn't happen, we do have that very, very important announcement that we have to kind of tease coming up soon. So if this doesn't happen, which it looks like both teams have revealed each other and they're going to walk away, we do have to talk about after this match, guys. We're going to talk about it now, but the actual announcement will be after the match. Your mic's going a little funky, by the way.
30 seconds.
Picking up a ton of extra.
Yep, I got it. We're good.
Okay, cool, cool.
It's one of those situations. You load in the Dota, sometimes it wants to argue with your microphone settings. And
yeah, I know. I hate that. But okay, so D2CL.org. You're gonna want to, while you're waiting for this game to really get underway, go ahead and pull that up in a separate tab. D2CL.org. You're gonna want to go over there because there will be a big announcement after the end of this match. So if Liquid is able to take this game and take out Navi 2-0, the match will go. The announcement will go out over at D2CL.org. And while you're there, check out that statistics site that I was talking about. That is actually a really, really cool thing. But D2CL have a big announcement. They're going to be talking about what they're going to want to be doing for upcoming for Season 3 and all those sort of things. And you really won't want to miss out on this because it is big. I mean, when they sent me the message and I read what they were talking about, what they wanted to be able to tell people about, my jaw just kind of dropped. I was like, holy crap, this is really amazing. So you're going to want to do that. D2CL.org. Go pull that up right now, and let's get back into this game.
Absolutely, and up at top we can already see Funnick being zoned out, but just to build on that, you shared that with me, whenever I got into the office here, and I had the same reaction you did. And, I can't wait for the general public to get their eyes or ears, as the case may be, on it. I mean, I really think people are going to be thrilled by it, and it's just one of those things that makes you love the scene so much. The fact that people are doing excellent things that serve fans, serve teams, and serve everyone else. So I'll leave it at that until the announcement goes out. But yeah, definitely stay tuned, guys. Definitely make sure you keep an eye on D2CL following the conclusion of this match. You will not want to miss it. So moving on in, the lanes have taken shape. I am back in the game, so all should be well. Taking a look at the matchups so far, it will be an off-lane Funnick going up against this tri-lane. He'll be able to get something done, a little bit of experience, a little bit of gold, but not going to be the easiest time for him. Dindy going one-on-one with Bulba here in mid. That's an interesting matchup we'll touch on, but Puppey on the Enigma. Now, how early Puppey wants to get active with that Enigma is the question I have as much as anything else. Koikva on another global presence hero in the Nature's Prophet, again, our MVP from Game 1. He's going to be a big influence on this for a lot of reasons, and as we talked about, foremost amongst them, being able to get his farm up and get a Scythe of Ice to try and deal with that Storm Spirit.
Yeah, right now, I mean, with the Lion last pickup was a really good, like, Lion is top-notch when it comes to disables. He's right behind Shadow Shaman in the power you give going into a late game. So you're pretty much swapping out wards in exchange for pretty much extra added burst magic damage that Lion puts out. And you could argue which one's a little bit better in the late game, but both are superb supports for being able to deal with highly mobile heroes that really that any sort of disables really shut them down. And Dendi, oh my goodness, he just popped a potion here, and it was immediately countered by the spirit going out from Bulba. And we've got to welcome in Nahaz, the stats man, is going to be joining us for this match. So shout out to Nahaz. I know he had like a doctor's visit he had to get through game 1. I hope everything's awesome, Nahaz, and glad to have you here, buddy.
Agree more. Love Nahaz and had a chance to work with him. He's lended his service to the D2L and to CIS Carnage, doing that with Pingy, and just one of the best in the business, and really always a pleasure to have him on. Speaking of stats, we can already see Navi beginning to open themselves up an efficiency lead. 21 CS for Lifestealer tops the board as of right now, so Vost off to a good start. Puppy, no surprise to see him doing absolute work here in the jungle. Enigma, arguably the fastest jungler in the entire game. Dindy going pretty much toe-to-toe with Bulba. The fact that Bulba is sitting at 13 CS to the 14 of Dindy. I mean, Bulba's just so good on Elder Titan, it's ridiculous. And after that, kind of falls off, and that's kind of a problem, really. I mean, this is just a Darkseer out in this solo off lane, and TC sitting at just 12 CS as of right now. You'd really think he'd have more by now.
Yeah, I'm really surprised.
Dindy in mid gives up first blood. Don't expect to see that. They end up giving away a 1-for-1 there, but that is a win for Bulba. I think Puppy actually was in range to get experience for that. So yeah, he's level 6 at just 4 minutes in. So in the meantime, though, Bulba with a bit of a win over Dindy, and Dindy giving up first blood.
This is something that in Elder Titan, when you're going up against Storm Spirit, you kind of have to commit to trying to force him out, because otherwise you're just going to get out-harassed, out-CS. As you can tell from the last hits we were just about to talk about, where both the Lifestealer and the Storm Spirit on top of Enigma, who's jungling, you know, that's a little bit cheating. But the fact that Navi are just taking such good control of their lanes right now, and they're leading the CS every step of the way, is a really good sign. But Bulba, knowing what's happening and committing to a kill like that was very, very good of him. They're going to go again.
Fluff making a run. Dindy, though, able to make it away. Brown boots paying for themselves there, as Fluff unable to get much of anything done. Phase boots are done on TC, and he is fighting his way back into the CS charts. He's still quite a bit behind Havost, who sits at 34 to the 20 of TC, but the build on TC is of interest to me as well. I mean, getting the phase boots, that's standard. Is he going to go straight out Blink next? Is he going to go... I mean, Blink seems to be the most obvious choice, but you can see these wonky builds that come out from time to time. Shadow Blades and so on and so forth. Even a Force Staff is not all that uncommon in many situations. So as of now, 5 minutes in, we got 2 kills on the board, split right down the middle, and still waiting for this laning phase to really break down.
Yep, taking a look at just real quick, I want to take a sneak peek at, oh man, yeah, I was about to say, with all that top CS on top of the fact that they have a jungler, a big jungling advantage over Liquid right now, I was wondering how far ahead they were gold. It's actually a significant amount. 5 minutes in, you don't typically look at the gold graph and go, because most of the time it's pretty fluctuating, and it's only, you know, one team is only 500 gold ahead or something, but almost a 2,500 gold lead 5 minutes in.
On the Fluff here in mid, Dindy leading things off with Kuroki behind him, and they do manage to pick him off. Fluff tried to get off and an Earth Spike to buy himself some time, but 2-1, Navi with a fortuitous skill there. But yeah, just to build on what you were saying, that gold graph actually is, and even more so now, very heavily in favor of Navi, and that's just a pure efficiency lead. Up until that kill that happened in mid was dead even in every other metric. All teams, or both teams, having all their towers up and the kills being even, except for the first blood gold. But this is just flat out the lanes working out better for Navi, and that's, you know, if you can get a lead anyway, that's the best way to get it, because it comes for free. You don't even have to worry about kills. You're just flat out playing better at that stage of the game.
By the way, it sounds like your Dota TV is probably bugging out again.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take a quick.
So those small bugs, it's just like, it's not like anything you could do about that either. It's just all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's broken. Well, I guess I couldn't tell.
Yep, I just flicked it on then off. Looks like we should be back, but already some movement out of Dindy and Puppy making their way into the jungle. And we see Lifestealer actually did pick up a Midas, so taking a play out of TC's handbook. Granted, Vost kind of tended to do that anyway, but a lot of movement already, and this is what I was talking about with Puppey. Very early in the game, he's being very active, has Black Hole up, has maxed his demonic conversion, and yeah, I want to see what Navi plans to do with this.
Yeah, I mean, trying to move around the map, especially since Dendy had such a good lane, he's trying to put a little bit of pressure because they know right now the laning phase going beautifully for TC, especially since they have the dire advantage. They'll be able to sneak in a Roche oftentimes without... I mean, it's just so hard up against an Ursa because any point in time he can sneak into that Roche pit with a smoke and clear it out within a minute pretty much. So unless Navi are pretty much constantly throwing an Eidolon or something in there, they're going to have a tough time dealing that. And with the Aegis advantage going the way of Liquid, they're going to be set up for a really good 20-minute team fight lineup that is going to be trying to push down some towers as well. They don't have the greatest pushing lineup right now. They mainly focus on team fight, but any team fight that is won is going to be capitalized on the fact that they do have Koifa on that Furion, who's going to be able to lend his strong pushing power to taking down that early tier 1 tower and getting in some of that gold, making the comeback of what was very, very strong lane so far for Navi.
Navi looking to be the first to take a tower as well. Pecking away at the tier 1 here in bottom lane, and it will end up dropping as Havos takes the last swipe at it. Up at top, we can see Dindy's got eyes on Way2. And Way2 going to be Vortex back. Funix there to try and help if he needs it. Doesn't look like he's going to, though. Dindy jumping ahead right into an Earth Spike. And the Hex to follow it. There's a haste, though, from Dindy, and able to secure the kill afterwards. And has that Ion Shell on. He's going to get 2 here at the very least. And behind that, we see the Black Hole manages to catch TC as well. And that is, I mean, there's really no words for it. That's about as disastrous a turn of events as you're going to see. You simply can't afford to do that with an Ursa. Ursa is the definition of a snowball hero. He is not a hero that gets behind and fights his way back like we saw TC do on that Lifestealer in Game 1. Ursa needs a lead and needs to keep a lead, especially when he's going the build he's going. A very mid-game centric build. Makes a lot of sense against the Lifestealer going straight up to his Vladimir's offering after phase. But yeah, that's, I mean, he's going to have his Vlads done more or less, but still, quite a big kill to take place, and that just slows things down so much for Liquid.
And he may find another one. His Fluff, yep, they got it easily, as long as he doesn't get a double impale.
And we can see, here comes TC though, and there's the Hex and the Earth Shock. Afterwards, they managed to get a return kill on KKY behind that Puppey now, eating some damage as Bulba has shown his face and able to just bash him down with that big right hand of his. Way2 eating some damage from the Eidolons. TC's there. They got to be careful. That's a lot of vision they're giving up. Here comes Dindy jumping back in, and Dindy eating a lot of damage. Way2 will end up dead. Dindy going to jump and use the last of his mana. Can they catch him? There, yep, they got him. And I'll tell you what, this is all the lead and all of the momentum that Navi picked up, they are giving away by having Dindy die as many times as he is. He's got 4 kills, that's all well and good. But when you have Bulba sitting at 3-1 and Dindy's died twice already in this game, it can be quite a problem. And that helps get Ursa back on track as well. The Vlads is now done, and now it's just going to be on TC to execute. Most likely a mobility item coming up next.
Yeah, especially when they made really good work of that haste rune earlier on Storm Spirit. Like that was pretty disastrous for Liquid, but it was greedy trying to do something like that again, especially without a rune advantage. Like going into the enemy jungle is very, very greedy this early on, and you should know that Liquid, after a loss like that team fight was, they're gonna play a little bit more conservatively. They're gonna respond a little bit better the next time you invade the jungle, and Liquid playing that pretty beautifully. I mean, driving past, trying to kill that Lion near the tier 2, where you could just get surrounded by, you know, hero coming in from mid. On the tier 1, you had the tier 2 still up for Liquid. They had plenty of different ways to be able to respond to that. They're trapped pretty much from 3 different towers, surrounded on all sides. So that was just super, super greedy of them. And they paid the price, and now this may mean that Liquid going to be able to sneak in that Roche.
No wards down whatsoever from Navi. Dindy, though, ooh, he's going to wander by, and he knows. Pushes down to about a third. If he's going to make a run, he's going to have to do it now. Fluff's there. There's the Ancestral Spirit and the Hex. Out comes Havos, though. TC will be able to get the Aegis. They managed to pick one up, but Bulba's right there for some payback. And Kuroki managed to get Earth Splitter, and they're going to manage to Vortex TC. TC looking for a little bit of safety. In the meantime, Earth Splitter off the mark. Puppey's there to try and help. They managed to pop the Aegis right off the bat. And now a quick pause. So looks, ooh, that hurts. having Koikva disconnected in the middle of that engagement when he could have possibly come in and made a difference. Look how low everyone from Navi happens to be as TC gets ready to respond. And, yeah, if they're going to wait on Koikva's going to have a chance to try and make something happen as well. Havos sitting at just 71 HP, Dindy at 245, Funnick at 465, just short of the mech, actually. He was saving up to buy it one shot, and still a couple hundred gold short of it. But Puppy actually unable to use Black Hole as it's still on cooldown, at least for the moment.
Something that it's, well, as we get this underway, Navi, really good kiting lineup. You have every single person on their team has some sort of disable or slow to throw down, and they've got really good movement, but we'll see if they can find it.
We're going to be vacuumed back, and he's going to work trying to track down Dindy. Behind that, though, we're going to see them manage to track down Havos, and Puppy has Black Hole available in 2 seconds. Going to Malphus off on Bulba. This would be a big kill if they can get it. Koikva's right there trying to help. He only has his Midas up and able to zone them out off of that. So they end up losing the Aegis, but they got Havos in return. And you know, that's the thing about this lineup for Navi. They've got, you know, they're excellent with the Darkseer and the Enigma, but those heroes really, they set things up for other damage-dealing heroes. You can't have your two main cores in the Storm Spirit and the Lifestealer giving up a lot of deaths. It just isn't going to work out for you. Right now, TC's at 1-1, so he's not in much better shape, but Havos simply can't make the mistakes he made in Game 1. It cost them dearly, and this is, you know, with a snowballing hero like an Ursa, with a mid to late game absolute monster in Koikva's Nature's Prophet, they're going to get punished again if they aren't able to keep him alive.
This is something that, while they do, you're right, they don't necessarily have the greatest straight-up damage, and that's where Liquid really excels, especially Elder Titan. Elder Titan is a hero that very few heroes can go ahead and say, yeah, I can 1v1 that hero, just because he's able to get so much damage early on. So Liquid have the damage. The question is whether or not they can actually lock down these heroes to get on them to actually put out the damage with the Ursa, with the Elder Titan, and it's very tough. I mean, we saw it earlier when Dendy was going on way too sexy, and he was 1v3. Pretty much, and he still went in for it because he knew his kiting capacity, him being able to just jump around these melee heroes and abuse the fact that they didn't have any lockdown of their own, solid stuns to be able to stop him. He was able to kill Visage. Now, he did run out of mana, and that's the only reason he died, but eventually that won't be a problem anymore. Dendy will be able to have enough mana to constantly zip around, and they really need to be able to have some early Scythe of Ice up on Liquid. Otherwise, it's going to need to be a Blink Dagger up on Fluff. Like, he has to be sitting far enough back that he doesn't get caught out, but he also has to be able to instantly respond when the Storm Spirit jumps in and get that disable. Fluff and stuff is going to be your key hero to watch for Liquid, who's going to allow the big damage dealers of Bulba and TC to actually be able to finish off their heroes very quickly before they use things like Surge, like the zipping around of Storm Spirit, those sort of things, or even just the disables of Telekinesis and the Malefice. Very obnoxious stuns versus melee heroes.
I agree with you more. When it comes to Fluff's role, he basically Liquid has all of their eggs in the lion basket. He's their most reliable form of dedicated disable. He's now level 6, so he's going to be lending some much needed burst, either on the Storm Spirit whenever he is grounded, or more importantly, perhaps on the Lifestealer whenever his rage wears off. They're relying on him so much just to focus key targets both with damage and disable, especially given his synergy with Ursa. He has to set up these kills and set up opportunities for kills for TC, and we can see them trying to do that now as they have smoked into the enemy jungle. They're going to wrap around. They know Puppy's right there. They don't know that Dindy's there, however, and Bulba's actually going to react coming into the back of the fight. Here we go, and there's Dindy trying to disjoint it. They manage to blow Puppy up, but just blown to absolute pieces. And this is what we were talking about. Navi needs to fight as 5 to get the most out of the Enigma and Darkseer picks, especially with the Darkseer going right for that early mech. When they're not fighting that way, their damage is limited, but I'll tell you what, they got a hell of a lot of it on the side of Team Liquid.
All right, Nahaz, you got to give me the stats on that, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time we're seeing it. Real quick though, that Elder Titan aura mixed in with Ursa, it's just unbelievable the amount of burst damage. I mean, when he's hitting that third hit for already like 200 some damage, and then you take away all of the armor of that hero, it's just crazy. But we saw a Blink Dagger picked up by Storm Spirit.
Yep.
That's got to be the first time I've seen that. 5th time. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm almost positive I saw that once, believe it or not. Puppey going to end up being picked off once again, and here's Quakebuff getting the sprout off on the Kuroki, and the beautiful stomp from Bulba, vacuuming them back. Earthsplitter's going to catch a couple. That's a 3-0 so far, and Liquid is just running over this Natus Vincere squad. And what a beautiful turn of events. And I'm trying to think, now that you mentioned, I want to say it was CIS Carnage. Perhaps, that I was casting a game where I saw a Blink picked up on a Storm Spirit. But at any rate, Liquid is putting their lineup through the paces and getting the job done. And, you know, taking a look at the item progression so far in the goal graph, we can see Liquid has begun to cut down on this. I mean, when you look at the gold lead that Navi had built, we're just at 16 minutes in. It was already up near 7,500 gold. They had already had their advantage. Now the experience has dropped off in favor of Liquid, and they've managed to cut that gold lead down nearly half. So great last few minutes for Liquid. They just have to keep it going, but really that's true on both sides. But Havos now, with his combat potential boosted quite considerably with that armlet picked up.
Yep, we're going to have a BKB soon on Enigma, and at that point in time, you've got nothing to be able to stop him and his black hole, which is, even though Navi have lost a couple of team fights, I really think that they have outdrafted Liquid when it comes to their effectiveness in team fights as long as they execute it. Now, this last couple of team fights, they've been caught out a lot by some of the basic stuns. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to talk about Liquid, but we had an Echo Stomp that hit on 3 different heroes, follow up with the Earth Splitter. Then you had the follow-up there that allowed Lion to get close enough. He didn't need a Blink Dagger if the Stomp is hitting 3 heroes. He was able to get close enough to get onto Storm Spirit with an Earth Spike, which then allowed the Earth Splitter to hit. You can't be allowing yourself to get hit by stuns like that on a Storm Spirit, especially when it's such a stun that is so slow to be able to see it coming and it's about to go down. You could just zip away at the right time. But you know, at Navi, eventually, like, those mistakes won't happen, and I really feel that their lineup is going to be able to counteract the 2 melees that are doing such work. Now, eventually, Furion will come into play as a damage healer, but for now, he's mainly just his ultimate and a mech.
Navi trying to find something here in the jungle and down middle lane. They actually have Havos locked and loaded in Dindy. They were smoked, and that's going to expire right now.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Still unable to find much of anything. Bulba's right behind them with an Invis rune. This, if he can land a big stomp or a big Earth Splitter, could end up swinging this fight. He's going to walk right up into this. TC's there. There's the stomp. Only got Kuroki, though. There's the Earth Splitter thrown out. No, the engagement behind, and they're going to get Puppey as well as Kuroki. And Fluff ends up dropping, but it doesn't matter. Oh, beautiful vacuum wall. Could that be enough to turn it around? TC does end up dropping, and Lifestealer going to work. Eats a little bit of magic damage in the back. But off of a wonderful play by Funnick, Vacuum Wall completely reversed the way that fight seemed to be going after excellent initiation. Coming out from Fluff after the only single target stomp the Bulba was able to land. And Navi manages to walk away winners in a fight that honestly looked like they were going to lose flat out.
That, I can't believe it, but Navi have really, really fast reactions. Like the reaction all of a sudden at Elder Titan stomping out of Invis, it was really, really good that you were able to jump away on Puppey. Like he had a really fast reaction there. But again, like Dindy, there's just so much burst, he couldn't even deal with it. The fact that Lion was able to get off the Finger of Death and then 1 hit from Bulba because he had so much extra damage from his spirit coming to him, took 1 hit on Dindy and he just obliterated. Like you can't react fast enough to pretty much getting 2-shot. Like you just get this mass burst that is coming out on Liquid, and it's just crushing a lot of these mobile heroes. Surprisingly enough, they keep on getting hit by these melee heroes, and it's tearing them apart. Dendy, I think maybe just play a little bit more passive, and he should be able to have this. But again, the BKB is going to be up soon on Puppey, and that's when you're going to have that big play. Liquid had a huge advantage with that Invis, but eventually they're not going to have that advantage. Eventually, the Storm Spirit's going to come in, and while they are doing a really good job coming back, it's still Navi ahead by 5,000 gold because they're controlling the map so well.
Yeah. And more importantly, you know, just at this phase, it's so chancy drafting an Ursa into a Lifestealer like this. Just because Lifestealer, I mean, it's tough to call. Ursa, on paper, is a winner against a Lifestealer in most situations. But the later the game goes, that's not always true, especially whenever you have a supporting cast like Navi has, with Dindy in particular on the Storm Spirit. So they need to get this game under control. I don't think they want to take this one to 75 minutes for the second time in a row. And I really have my doubts as to how well that would work for them, even if they did manage to do it. This tier 2, though, remains standing for now, so they're able to stem the tide. They just have to make sure that they don't just put themselves in a holding pattern. Even though they're behind, they have to continue to try to execute.
Yeah, right now, Liquid, very, very strong on the initiation. Now they picked up, I wasn't sure if they were ever able to get these items or not. I thought Navi would just kind of roll over them before they could get it, but a BKB up on Bulba, very, very important. And this allows him, no longer is he just going to get kited around. He has a fast amount of movement speed. He'll just chase down heroes that aren't surged and aren't the Storm Spirit. So he's pretty much any hero that he starts locking onto is going to be done for unless a black hole comes into. Lion, a blink dagger up on him. Extra added initiation, has that instant disable versus a Storm Spirit. Follow up by TC also grabbing his blink dagger. Those 3 items are huge for Liquid, and I think they have a big enough advantage in team fights to continually force it and go for pickoffs.
Oh, speaking of pickoffs, Funnick, quite a good one to get, and here we go. The rest of them trying to fight it out behind. Bulba right there going to work on Havos. Here comes help. Quakefa's there, and the right click pretty intense. They're going to catch him out, and TC gets that kill, and Roshan is going to be up in mere seconds. Let's see if Liquid's able to spot it. And TC's walking his way. He's going to walk right in there, isn't he? What timing! Could not have asked better from the RNG gods. And TC going to end up landing his second Aegis of the game as Liquid takes a commanding lead in terms of kills at the very least, but more importantly of momentum. Look at the gold graph again, my friend. 2/3 of that gold lead erased so far, about to be even more as Roshan is about to drop. Down it goes. Dindy was making his way over, but unable to get there in time. And the Big Mo definitely siding with the Americans as of right now. Navi has to stabilize.
Right now, Liquid able to take down tier 2s. Like, I think they should be strong enough, especially with that Aegis pickup. That's huge. But even before that, I think they were strong enough to be able to force a lot of team fights. I still think that Navi might be able to turtle this out long enough to get into the late game where they're looking really strong. But for now, Liquid are going to be able to hold a commanding lead for the next 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much they shut down this farm. BKB is finished up on Puppey, and we still have the chance for some big plays coming out from Navi, but that's how they're going to win these team fights, is if they get the big 3 to 5 man black holes with Vacuum and Wall of Replica. They're going to need some really big plays like that in order to contest Liquid and their movement right now. Their mobility with the blink daggers and everything else, they have such good pick-off potential that Navi need to be able to have good vision and need to be able to stay grouped up a little bit. And that's unfortunate because you're talking about a Storm Spirit. You wanted to see this Storm Spirit just zip around, constantly picking off heroes, and he did that in the first 10 minutes, but it's fallen off greatly, and now they just have to go for either 5-on-5 team fights or 5-on-1, where they're just finding with that single pickoff and trying to turn that into a little bit more map control, a little bit more delay into this game before Navi starts pushing in, which I think they're going to do right now at bottom.
Taking a look at the goal graph, seeing how close it is, basically the entirety of Navi's lead is the net worth advantage that Havos has generated on TC. One big kill, one blown team fight for Navi, and that's a race. So all of that early work they did, all of that early lane efficiency they had that gave them the advantage has more or less been negated. And at this point, it's just about trying to stop the bleeding and trying to get things back under control. And this bottom tier 2, eating a lot of damage. TC's way out front, has a BKB up, as mentioned, and that in and of itself is quite a big item against this team. Being able to take Storm Spirit out of the effect and just allow you to barrel down the face of the Lifestealer with a lot of impunity, basically, not having to worry that much because he is more or less the only real damage threat they have when BKB is active. And so long as you can focus him down and hopefully avoid a black hole, you're going to be in great shape. Puppey blinks ahead, throws out the Malefice that's going to tick away on TC, but this tier 2 melted down below 300 HP. TC's just going to man mode it now, forcing the glyph out, and TC with that Aegis Not gonna hang on. Dindy's actually gonna catch him out, but there's a force staff to get him back to safety. Met gets it back up and fighting. Tower behind that is denied by Puppey. There's a stomp that caught Puppey, and they're gonna engage. Bulba's right there, and the Black Hole's gonna catch out TC. They're gonna be able to bring him down, but that's only his Aegis. They got Fluff as well, so that lockdown's gone, but with Bulba down, that's the big turning point, and this is a flossed fight flat out. Navi the tower, and Puppey acting as bait, whether intentionally or unintentionally, forced an overreaction out of Liquid, and they capitalized 3-0 that exchange, getting the Aegis, getting TC twice.
Yeah, you remember that the play from TI2 where Navi were able to counteract the Naga Siren initiation with Sleep into Ravage was pretty much the combo, the big 2 spells that you're talking about. They were able to counteract that with a very, very fast BKB up on Enigma, plus the fact that they also had Juggernaut who was able to pop his Blade Fury, and I think they maybe had one other BKB besides that, but mainly it was the BKB up on Enigma. Everybody talks about the play because it's such a big play, and it was how do we counteract the Naga Siren? Well, part of that, the big play, was also the failure of recognition of a BKB. They thought they would be able to get the Ravage off in time. Here, Liquid did sort of the exact same thing, where they aggroed onto an Enigma because he was stomped up. They thought, let's go get him, let's kill him really, really quickly, and all of a sudden, he was able to get out that BKB, and they're surrounding an Enigma who doesn't care because he has that black hole. He already has BKB popped, and then he was able to catch just 3 or 4 heroes. That was a bit of an error. That was a devastating error from Liquid, grouping up like that. Maybe they thought they were going to be able to get Fluff and stuff, especially since he had Blink Dagger in there in time to be able to provide that Earth Spike, provide that Hex before the Stomp was done for, but he just wasn't. I'm not sure if his Blink Dagger maybe got disabled, but because I was focusing on the Enigma, but Fluff and stuff wasn't there to be able to provide that additional disable, and once the BKB was up, the team fight was over. Like, when they hit 3 or 4 man black holes, they have a strong enough combo to be able to just wipe through everything, even with Aegis, even with BKBs. So that was quite the error there from Liquid, who were really controlling the game and looking to be able to snowball into taking the rest of these tier 2s and going uphill. Right now, they have this really good lineup to take tier 2s because Elder Titan may not be the greatest pusher in the world, but he excels at being able to help out siege lineups, which is kind of what Liquid have right now. They don't have this big push lineup. They just have this consistent damage where Ursa sits up front, beats down the tower, and what Bulba does is he puts his spirit forward and blocks out any sort of attempt to move forward, and it's really good at tier 2s, which are usually clutcher team fights where the spirit is more effective, but that effectiveness is going to lose. They're going to lose that effectiveness when they try and go uphill, where team fights are a lot more spread out, where you have heroes out in the side that don't get caught out by the stomps. So they need to be able to hold on to the advantage that they have now, because it's only going to get harder if they try and end this game in the next 10 minutes by going up to tier 3s.
I'm 100% on the same page with you. Navi really just did themselves such a huge favor in winning that fight and in playing patient, staying in position, and making sure that they were ready to react when there was an overextension. The goal graph and the experience graph, though, still very close to even, 2,500 in favor of Navi right now. So Liquid definitely in range, but we are approaching that 30-minute mark, as you mentioned. Ursa needs to get in gear. As of right now, take a look at the performance of both 4-2 and 3 for Ovost, 4-3 and 7 for TC. So roughly a break even there, but they can't afford to lose another fight with this lineup. They're just going to run out of steam if they end up giving up too much momentum and return to Navi. And as Navi continues to add items to their inventory, BKB very close to being done for Dindy. That in and of itself is a gigantic item, and Liquid has to be aware of that. They have to know it's on the way, and they have to try and make something happen in the meantime.
Yeah, this is something now. The Blink Dagger does help, but not having pretty much any extra added intelligence, or nothing big anyway. He's got a Null Talisman, he's got Strength Treads, which he can go to intelligence from there, but he doesn't have a whole lot of big mana items that are going to be able to help his mana pool, both in sustain and just the amount of mana he has to be able to zip around. So Dendy has to be a little bit careful when going into these team fights how much he tries to really constantly micro his hero to zip here and there, because he will run out of mana very, very quickly. Now, the Blink Dagger does help out because it means he doesn't have to use his mana to initiate. He can just instantly go in, grab somebody, and then from there use his mana pool, especially since Blink Dagger does not have a mana cost anymore. That's even an added benefit, where Dendy is going into this team fight in a good position like he zipped in, but with a full amount of mana.
Navi and Liquid both taking their sweet time and Adding items to their inventory, about 2,400 gold tucked away for TC right now. Very close to a scepter for way to, and yep, it doesn't have it on the courier. So yeah, still has about 1,000 gold to go, but making good progress there. Koikfa, in the meantime, did pick up a book 3.
Oh, AC, I think we lost you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, all right, you're back. You're back now. I'm not sure what happened there. Just kind of lost you
sometimes
for a second.
voice over IP issues, but
Yeah.
At any rate, taking a look around, Koikfa has picked up his book 3 as well. Went with a utility build on this Prophet, a 4-staff mechanism, kind of an old school approach to it. So Puppy, in the meantime, has got 2,300 gold tucked away, but neither team has done much really in the last couple of minutes. They haven't smoked, they haven't really looked to be aggressive. Instead, just making sure they fill in their inventories.
Yeah, something that Navi were able to pick up in the last couple of minutes after that big team fight, a lot of Blink Daggers. So now they have not only initiation, but counter-initiation, because we talked so much about Liquid being able to have the jump in with the Ursa and with the Lion, and how they can just instantly pop a hero with those 2 Blink Daggers. Well, now Navi have a response of their own. Now they have Blink Dagger up on Rubik, right? So he's instantly able to get in and throw down a telekinesis and catch out the Ursa before he BKBs. Like, that's a big pickup. Funny. Also able to follow up or even lead into that Enigma black hole by being able to jump in and throw down a vacuum. It goes either way. You can either jump in and throw down the black hole, or you can and then vacuum afterwards, or vice versa. Chat trivia: who are the only 3 heroes to build a Blink Dagger 140 or more times in 6.79 Pro Dota 2 matches?
What you think? I'm gonna say Puck.
Yeah, Puck is definitely up there. 6.79. Probably haven't seen Templar Assassin enough. Has fallen off out of favor, even though
Mag and Bat are up there too. But they, it depends on, like, it's hard to guess. Like, that's so many times to have played, and both those heroes fell off so hard. It's hard to really, identify that as something like that. I'm gonna say Rubik, actually. I'm gonna say Rubik.
I think maybe one of the big time supports is maybe a good idea, because you see them so often. Even if they aren't able to pick up a Blink Dagger half the time, they're seen more than 280 times. So
exactly.
But I think that I just lost it. Batrider is, I think, seen enough, and Blink Dagger is core on him. So I think he's going to be one of them.
Here we go. Jumping on a Koikfa in mid. Koikfa blown up. And just a little out of position, and paid the price for it that time. Navi taking down the Nature's Prophet, taking down a tier 2, and now momentum fully in their favor once again. But Liquid continuing to try and hold the line. Roshan not back up yet, but will be in just about 30 seconds.
And Navi still sitting after that tower. It's going to be a 5,000 gold lead, which isn't too much at this point, because most of it is centered on one hero. Havost has the highest net worth in the game right now, but just like the melee heroes up on Liquid, there is a problem with kiting him. He's also excellently countered by both Elder Titan and Ursa due to the pure physical damage. Now, if just one of them gets on the Lifestealer and tries to attack him and burst down the Lifestealer, or just focus him down as much as possible, Havost will be able to turn. He's got the Abyssal. He's got also the attack speed to be able to get the additional bashes after that. So you're going to need both the Ursa and the Elder Titan, or you're going to need a jump in from Fluff and stuff and get in that disable, which most of the time he's going to be focusing on trying to stop Dendi. So BKBs aplenty, and because of this, because of just the nature of Navi's lineup with a Storm Spirit and then this big wombo combo, Darkseer Enigma, initiation, I mean, it feels like we're beating a dead horse, but both times initiation have been the most critical thing for these team fights, because they can easily go either way. Liquid have a little bit more single target initiation. Meanwhile, Navi have some with the Storm Spirit and Lifestealer combo, especially with that Abyssal. They are able to burst down one hero very quickly, but they also have the big team fight, the 5-on-5 initiation as well with the Enigma.
Bat and Nyx Assassin.
Of course.
I was thinking Nyx or Rubik. I went with Rubik, and probably, Nyx Assassin probably would have made a bit more sense. I don't know, though. Like, it's tough to call either way. Earthshaker, or Rubik and Earthshaker right behind, so I'll take that and walk away. We got 2 out of 3, man. Not too shabby.
I can't believe that Earthshaker was on that list, because, I mean, I'm happy because I'm such a big Earthshaker fan. He's one of my favorite heroes, but that hero, man, ages was not seen for the longest time, and I'm surprised he was actually picked up.
So popular in such a short amount of time. You just, like, for a while there, for a couple of weeks, you just saw him everywhere.
Well, right now, 35 minutes in, and it feels like this is going to be a very, very close game once again. I mean, 15-15, the kills describe it perfectly. Koifa might be in a little bit of trouble at top, where he's currently waiting out Funix vacuum to try and teleport away.
There you go. Four staffs himself to safety, being pursued out. Already used the vacuum. Can they get him? They can. Big pick. But in the meantime, though, they had to commit a lot to get there, and Roshan is dropping as we speak. They're going to have to hoof it back. Puppey has his BKB, his Blink, and his Black Hole ready to go if they want to take a run at it. Roshan about half health. So they give up Quakefa, and as of right now, yep, it's going to drop. And here he goes. Gets the Black Hole. Got TC. Got Bulba. Funix right there to help. BKB's coming out of it, though. The rest of Liquid Hook to work on Kuroki. Will be able to secure one kill to not lose the Aegis that time. Behind the fight, Quakefa cleaned up by Dindy and Havos once again, and now TC caught with the Abyssal. There's his Aegis gone. And Bulba sitting on the high ground. Puppey landed the Black Hole. Was not a lot of follow-up to it. Ends up being bashed in the back and cleaned up. Dindy and Havos trying to make a run for it. Havos has Infest. No! Greater Spike! Caught two, and they're going to clean it both up. Insanely well played out of Fluff and Stuff. The Blink, Earth Spike, catching them both. Havos had an Infest up. Thought for sure we'd see him infest into the Storm and Storm bounce away. As it stands, though, what could have been disastrous following a well-timed Black Hole, not enough follow-up, and Liquid walks away big winners that time.
Yeah, that is something that, remember we were talking about, yeah, if you hit a big black hole, you hit 4 heroes, you're guaranteed to pretty much win the team fight. Well, when you don't have any other heroes around, it doesn't work so effectively. Like the wall was able to put in some extra damage, but neither Elder Titan nor Ursa give you really good illusions. The problem is Ursa needs his attack speed, and Elder Titan has his Astral Spirit to give him the extra damage. So the illusions weren't doing anything, and that was the only damage that was being output. So Navi, Puppey had a beautiful play, just unfortunate he missed the time for the Aegis. He did grab the cheese and used it in that team fight, but it was the best he could hope for.
Puppey once again going to pop the BKB. TC's going to work on Funnick in the meantime. Telekinesis there to disjoint things. Kuroki brings him forward, but no follow-up. Puppey still quite a ways away from having a Black Hole on the ready. Vacuum back on TC. Funnick caught by the Visage Familiars, and that'll disjoint that. Here comes the jump on the TC. BKB immediately popped, and he's going to turn and go to work. Dindy did not notice the Abyssal Blade, and here comes Bulba. Kuroki using the Ghost Scepter to try and buy some time. Nope, that's fine, says Fluff. You can Ghost Scepter all you want, boss. Bulba now being chewed away at by Havos, but guess who's chewing harder? TC caught with the Abyssal, not gonna matter. The right click too big, and this game that looked like it could be another 70-minute barn burner has suddenly blown wide open. 23-17, and Liquid threatening the tier 3s, forcing buybacks, and it's a similar story. It took them a while, it took them 38 minutes, but that gold graph is finally on their side of the table.
Yeah, things are looking good if they can take racks. Oh.
TC and Fluff, they managed to disjoint it, but TC likely to die here. They do manage to bring him down. Bulba's up front and will end up dropping as well. The Rax is still standing. They got to turn and right-click that down, and finally, maybe, could be, a 20 HP on the Rax and trying to chase down Wei2. They need to bring that down with that bird if they can. They're not going to be able to. That was a melee rack, so it's slowly regenning. And in the meantime, Havost manages to track down a triple kill by the time all is said and done. So what seemed like could have been a broken back moment for Navi turns into a return punch as they manage to stabilize. They lose the tier 3, but they kept that rack standing.
Man, Havos is such a playmaker, and at the same time, you sometimes question his decisions. Like him going in and trying to fight up the Bulba after he'd already lost Dendy, he'd already lost several heroes, and he goes in and tries to fight up Bulba against Ursa and Elder Titan. That was never going to go well for him. But then he buys back and has such a big impact in that last team fight. He played that so well. He had a perfect rage at the right time to be able to dodge the Earth Spike and the follow-up disables. Oh man, that is one hell of a pickup. Fluff and Stuff already has his level 2 Finger of Death, but now has the Aghanims. I doubt we're actually going to see that AoE come into play, but it is still a significant pickup even without that AoE added addition.
I'll tell you the situation we might see it is if he's very quick following an infest, being able to catch both Havost and the Storm Spirit standing next to each other. That's probably the most likely time you would see it. That or maybe if Puppey hits a black hole and he walks up when everyone's grouped around the black hole trying to bang away. That's another opportunity for him. But right now, it's too close to call, man. 5,000 gold in Liquid's favor. We're at 40 minutes, so that actually is a fairly decent lead for them. The experience is very, very close. Taking a look at the overall net worth, we can see, look at that, right on top of each other, within 100 gold of each other. It's TC and Havos. So behind that, and this is where Liquid is really coming into their own. TC trailed Havos for most of this game. Now he's cut it down roughly to even. After that, though, it's Koikva and Bulba that are the highest in terms of overall net worth. So Liquid certainly spreading the wealth, for lack of a better way to put it. Assault Cuirass done on Koikva as well. That's a huge boon to Ursa.
Yeah, this is, and now he has that single target. I wouldn't be surprised to see if the Scythe of Ice is his next pickup, because that's usually, there's only really one build on an Ursa. It's a Blink, BKB, Vlad's, you get an Abyssal, and I think Scythe of Ice is normally your last pickup, and then it boots a Travel. And at that point in time, you're usually maxed out. So Ursa's looking really good, but they do need to start thinking about how they're going to be able to end this game, because they weren't able to finish off that melee Rax. That would have been such a big advantage for them, but they didn't quite snag it. And now they need to be able to find out a way to end the game sometime soon, because Navi, as the game goes later and later, they'll have more opportunities for those big plays. They may not have the harder late game carry. They may not have that, but they definitely have the late game disable with that black hole and the wall, which is going to get more powerful. So the more time goes on, the more opportunities there are for Navi to make that big upset with a great black hole.
Bulba's picked up a halberd, and that in and of itself is a gigantic item if it goes off at a good time. I mean, we've talked about it all game, and we saw it come into action whenever Puppey hit that black hole at the Roche Pit. The damage is simply concentrated in too few hands for Navi. Storm Spirit and Havos are basically it when it comes to damage output. If you're able to take away half of that, no matter what half it is, most likely the Lifestealer is going to be the primary target. But even if you're just able to screw with Storm Spirit, that eliminates so much combat effectiveness of Navi, while you have so many heroes doing so much on the side of Liquid. Way2 with his Scepter up, and of course Soul Assumption, always a good spell. Of course, don't have to say anything about TC. Scepter up on Fluff, as you had mentioned, on top of his disables. Bulba getting very big and very tanky, sitting at 24 armor with 22, almost 2,300 HP, and a halberd and a Shivas, just looking gigantic in his own right. So Navi, I hate to say it, coming down the stretch, they may start to feel like they're running out of steam, because, you know, Havos is only going to get so much bigger, while there's so much more additional room for growth on the side of Team Liquid.
Yeah, right now Navi trying to push out, and they're trying to like just kind of control their jungle right now, but Liquid are very, very spread out. They seem to be playing this where they have, I mean, I don't really see next couple of items being that big for them. You still need a Scythe of Ice up for Koifa, but he can sell that Hand of Midas for that one. That's going to be a big upgrade, and we are going to see Lincoln's actually up for Ursa, so that's going to be his other luxury item for him. Visage, you know, he can start building into a Scythe of Ice of his own as well. But other than that, like, I don't see a whole lot of other items that are that important. Like the ones I talked about, Scythe of Ice is obviously the biggest one to really help, but them spreading out and farming up, I'm not sure if I quite agree with this, because it's giving Navi the opportunity to regain some map control, regain some vision on the map, and also get that farm up. That is very, very important, not only for additional items, for the Lifestealer, for the Storm Spirit, who's very, very far behind, but also for that all-important buyback, which is so crucial for being able to defend your racks.
44 minutes in, and we can see both teams, like you said, just kind of taking a breather. Not really that interested in a big fight as of yet, still wanting their items. Lincoln Sphere going to be done on TC right about now. Roshan has respawned and will be spotted by TC. And this could end up being a fight that determines a lot of the outcome of this game, if and when both teams decide to make their run. For right now, all's relatively quiet. Koikva, 2,400 gold tucked away, like you said, towards a Scythe of Ice. He'll be able to pick up his Mystic Staff in relatively short order. And if he decides to sell his Midas, he'll have the Scythe of Ice up even at an even bigger time. But, you know, right now, you know, TC obviously the big damage dealer for Liquid. I still feel like so much depends on Bulba's play, but that's a pretty good situation if you're Liquid. Bulba is pretty sick nasty on the old Elder Titan.
Absolutely, and another Roshan comes up, and that's really what Liquid was waiting for. They were waiting for that big advantage. Unfortunately, buybacks are now up. The buyback was on cooldown for a long time, but Navi, they're going to contest.
Roshan has fallen to the down.
Get there soon enough. There's a vacuum into a wall and a beautiful black hole to follow it. Way two's gone. TC manages to get off the Earth Shock. They managed to take down the Aegis. Let's see if they can follow it up. If they got Bulba. That in and of itself is gigantic. TC going to work, but off goes the Scepter, and Puppey ate some of that damage as well, but they managed to bring down TC again. Fluff jumped upon. That's going to be a 4-4-0. So Liquid managed to get the Aegis in due course, but the reaction too quick coming out of Navi, and Navi too good when it comes to the vacuum wall black hole combination as they drop 4 off of a beautiful chain of initiation out of Funnick and Puppey.
That was all on Funnick pretty much, is being able to get there first and hitting that excellent vacuum that ensured everyone was going to get covered by that black hole. You know, that was the thing, is it not only was buyback on cooldown for Lifestealer, but Roshan is very, very risky for Liquid, and so that advantage that they were hoping to get ends up biting them in the ass entirely, and now they're the ones being pushed in. They're the ones who have lost all their map control, and Navi looking very, very strong. They're probably not going to go uphill anytime soon. They're absolutely going to wait for another black hole. It's the only reason they're winning these team fights. But Storm Spirit, like Dendy was so shut down for so long, he's actually coming into his own now. He has a Scythe of Ice pretty soon. When he has that, he has more sustain for being able to constantly zip around, meaning he's more effective going into the late game. You know, that's a much more important pickup. That specific Scythe of Ice is more important than on any other hero. Like Koifa grabs the Scythe of Ice, if he does, you know, it's good, yes. But compared to a Storm Spirit, it's not nearly that good.
Yeah, the mobility, really the key factor there. And like you said, Koifa, he's got a 4-staff up, so he's got his own fair amount of mobility, but it's a Storm Spirit. You want him to have that item. And really, I mean, a Scythe of Ice that comes out unexpectedly on a Storm Spirit can be devastating. It can lose you a game if you're not expecting it and you end up losing too much to it. And but yeah, Liquid right now and Navi both just trying to farm themselves a little bit more, taking away the enemy jungle on both sides, etc., etc. That gold graph is basically back to 0 now. So we're talking a dead heat moving down the stretch now as we get closer to 50 minutes in. However, Navi has built themselves a 5-digit experience lead. So the metrics favoring Navi as of this moment. Going to come down so much to these items and, of course, to the black holes once again. The fights that Navi has won have had a lot to do with Puppey and Funnick.
Yep, and right now, Navi are doing the smart thing. They're going and taking down to tier 2. They're getting that additional gold as long as they don't get caught out, but they just saw them in middle. So they think they have enough time to get the tower and get out, but Havos needs to start backpedaling soon, or just call in extra reinforcements, I guess, with boots of travel.
Yep, that's always a nice plan. We can see Liquid sent scurrying back to their base, and this has to feel a little bit familiar. And a bit of a rough situation getting towards the late game. They need a big win. And they've got smoke up, throwing out the Ancestor. And Dindy's going to be spotted with it as well. He's going to jump straight in. They're going to go right on Fluff. Can they get him? They will finally. But TC caught by the black hole. And this is just unfortunate for Team Liquid, as Fluff just can't be out like that. At this stage of the game, he absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, be out like that. They have to keep him safe and nestled in the bosom of his own team. And when they don't, that's going to happen, because he is so... We talked about it during the draft and in the first few minutes. We haven't really talked about it down the stretch, but, you know, they have all of their disables in the Fluff basket, at least for now. And yeah, now they're going to re-engage. That's a beautiful vacuum to follow it. And yeah, out comes the Infest. That honestly might be GG.
Yeah, that was just such a beautiful initiation there. Kuroki stealing the Earth Spike, so as Havos turns, he gets that double stun. Really well done. But yeah, even without that, Liquid were pretty much done for. It's because the Ursa's buyback is on cooldown and he was dead for so long that it's going to give Navi probably 2 sets of racks, if not more. Furion's doing a really good job right now trying to counter that by taking tier 3, but he's going to die before he gets racks.
That'll be probably GG. With not getting anything done there, Havos moving ahead, gonna go back to work on Fluff. He's dead.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
And Havos with his butterfly pickup, clearing Raxes. That'll be 2 sets down. And still 18 seconds for TC to get back up. I'm a little surprised they haven't just called it as of right now, to be honest.
Well, I mean, they did get really close to taking a racks, and both mid and bottom racks are exposed for right now. But Koifa, he's already blown his buyback, and all it takes from Navi from now, I mean, you're right, it's the inevitable, because the one of the racks that is exposed is going to be where Navi's pushing, and the other set of racks is going to have that constant pressure in from the mega creeps. So normally, it's just kind of a normal thing that 2 racks down is GG. Now, we are getting into late game, and anything can happen at this point in time, especially with the buyback cooldown, the long death timers. Anything can happen, but I think Liquid, they're pretty much going for a Hail Mary, trying to force one last team fight. If it goes well, they force another team fight with buybacks forced from Navi, and then maybe after that third team fight, they can end the game. But it's going to take pretty much a perfect consecutive set of events for Liquid to be able to come back into this game and possibly even take racks of their own and even things out.
Be in complete control of this match, and just look at that spike upwards. Following that last engagement, we went from the gold resting at the 0 line to 10,000 in favor of Navi. And yeah, you think Havost is big a little bit. He is truly 6-slotted as of right now. Phase, Abyssal, Armlet, Butterfly, Heart, and Assaultcurus. The guy is an absolute beast. And I honestly don't think TC can deal with it at this point. I mean, TC, he's no slouch himself, but really and truly, just way too far ahead for him. He's almost 2 big items ahead of TC at this point.
Bottom tower has fallen.
Yeah, well, you know, when you've got when Butterfly starts being picked up on the strength heroes, that's when you know that that guy's truly 6-slotted, because at that point in time he's going, yeah, I just want the evasion. I don't really necessarily care about any of the other stats. The attack speed increase is good and everything else, but it's mainly just like, well, I got everything else in the book. Time to add in some evasion to really, truly make me very, very tanky. Navi now just controlling the map. They're pushing in bottom. They're pushing in middle, making sure there's that constant pressure. And if they want to, they can wait this out till Roshan is up and try and take that. That's a little risky. Again, Roshan's very dangerous for both teams because they do have Elder Titan on Liquid. So being able to, again, have that big AoE inside the Roche pit very, very easily could upset things for Navi, but all they have to do if they want to wait for Roche is just let Havost go in by himself, take it, and let everyone else from Navi just be kind of speckled around, all around the Roche pit, outside of it, just making sure they stay very, very well spread. Because they have mass blink daggers. It's not like they don't need to be, they don't have to be right up in there in the Roche pit to be able to instantly respond. They have these mass blinks coming out from all of these support heroes and all the initiators, so they're looking very, very good and should be able to end the game. It's just going to come down to this last team fight. If Navi takes it, it's over. If Liquid take it, it might still be over. It's just going to take a lot of extra work on their part.
Up very, very soon. And we'll take a look as they try to crack the tier 3s. There's a stomp to disjoint things, and Roche, a fresh respawn if Navi wants to try to take that, but they're not that interested. Dindy showing his face and just pecking away at the tower from the low ground at this point. Stomp will catch him out. And no follow-up, though, knowing they can't just flat engage into darkness like that. This is going to end up being a very slow death, because at this point, even Quakefa can't really afford to leave the base.
Yeah, right now, they're just Navi slowly but surely sieging down the last tower. It's now down to its last 100 health. They may find a smoke pick off here and there, but you can see all of Liquid. They're waiting for the perfect stomp. Like, once they hit like 3 heroes with the stomp, then they can actually move forward and respond. But for now, they know that if they move one hero forward, it's just going to get picked off by the Storm Spirit Lifestealer combo, and they won't have enough to be able to respond thanks to the BKBs.
Phonic gives us the blink karate chop as he brings down the last remaining tier 3, and TC goes to work on Dit. Blow him up on the back of that, but there's the black hole, and they're able to bring down TC as well. There's the stomp from Bulba, but a little too late, I do believe. As the rest of the fight rages near the tier 4s, Havost just so large and able to clean up Quakefa. And we actually see Rubik stole Finger of Death and able to use it himself. TC calls it GG. We're going to a game 3, and combined, the match time of these games, these first 2 games, has been 130 minutes. Can't wait to see what game 3 has in store as Navi knots things up.